Hello, and welcome back to Success for Minds. I'm your host, Patty Baranowski Schneider. Today I'm joined by Sutton McCraney, the Magnetic Leadership Strategist at Groovy Fusion LLC. So, welcome, Sutton. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Patricia, thank you so much for having me today. I'm super excited to be here.
Nice.
So, as you said, I am the magnetic leadership strategist, but more importantly, I'm a wife, homeschool mom of four,
Wow, nice.
expat, and veteran of the United States Air Force.
Jack of all trades. Wow.
Yeah, lots going on there. It's weird to even say it.
Nice. So, I guess tell us, can you share your journey from being a technical sergeant in the United States Air Force to becoming a content strategist and CEO of Groovy Fusion? And how did your military experience shape your approach to digital marketing?
Wow. Like most things in life, this was a meandering journey. This was definitely not what I had planned at all. Um, I actually have a bachelor's in exercise science, believe it or
Wow.
not. So my plan was to open up a fitness boutique here in Morocco. My
Okay.
husband and I were planning on moving here anyway after I separated from the Air Force. So that was my big dream.
Okay.
That was right before COVID, and that didn't really pan out. It was going to be a larger investment than what I had envisioned in my
Mhm.
head. So I kind of, meandered. I went back to school, got my master's in management,
Okay.
and I started my own podcast, which I accidentally monetized somehow.
Wow.
Yeah, and so then after that, did the podcast for a while, and then I picked up a contract position with a startup
Okay.
as a project manager. So they ran out of money. Then I was just kind of like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. And a friend of mine was starting their business. In fact, now they're a very successful vocal coach, but
Nice.
they were asking me advice, on different things to do with their business because they knew that I love talking business, marketing, everything.
Right.
And we were just having a casual conversation. And they said, why don't you just start charging for this? I said, no, like no one's going to pay just to talk to me. Like that was a foreign concept to me at the
Right.
time. And so I went with it. So I did the first thing that anybody who starts a business would do. I went and registered an LLC.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how it's amazing how you kind of just roll with the punches. It's just wherever life throws me, I'm going to make it
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I sat on that for a whole year, Patricia, before I did anything
Okay.
because coming from a military background, I want to plan everything out.
Yeah.
It needs to be a certain way. And I realized eventually that I was hiding, instead of just putting myself out there. So
Right.
eventually I got my stuff together. But as far as the lessons I learned from the military, it's exactly what you just said, rolling with the punches.
Right.
And something big is also framing. We have a concept in the military called framing. So different concepts, different ideas. And I think it's important from a digital marketing perspective, being able to frame your offers, your ideas, so that your audience can understand that in
Right.
a clear and concise way.
Very, very nice. Now, I guess tell us a little bit more about your magnetic leadership era program. Like, what are some of the unique strategies you teach to help established experts step up their role as a leader so that they can attract premium clients without hustling?
Something big for me is clarity. I
Right.
notice that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially if they are in an industry that doesn't necessarily bring about tangible outcomes, it can be difficult to communicate that.
Right.
And sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get caught up in our head with how we think our thing sounds,
Right.
but it doesn't sound like that to, the people that we're communicating with.
Right.
So clarity, who are we talking to? What are their struggles? And what is the purpose of our digital marketing, of our content marketing?
Right.
But also the other piece, which I think is really unique with my program, is that leadership aspect.
Mm.
So are we sounding like everyone else?
Right.
You know, we hear talk all the time about the online space is super crowded, but
Right,
I argue that it's crowded on a superficial level
right,
because people are not digging into those deeper layers.
right,
So what I teach is going beyond the superficial and amplifying who you are, who your voice is. Yes, I can help you write amazing content, but if you cannot be that undeniable force
mhm,
behind the content, it's not going to work. So infusing that leadership, standing on who you are and your values, and bringing that to your audience to show them that you are the solution
right.
to their problems or you have the product for them.
Right. It's amazing because I always say like you need that outside perspective because it's hard to for someone and in the business to understand. Like everybody always says, "Well, I'm the greatest. I have the greatest product and everybody should just buy from me and that's it." But you need that outside perspective to say, "Okay, but is your message, coming across the way people want to hear it?" Like we've done perception studies for people and it's like everything you're saying, you believe everybody sees it one way. And then you talk to the public and they're like, "That's not what I got out of that message." So sometimes it's always tell people stay in your lane. You do what you do best, run your company. Let me tell you how to do it to the public. That's what you're
Right.
trying.
Yeah,
Nice.
definitely.
Yeah. So now tell us, what's the impact clarity framework and how does it help solopreneurs and small businesses craft magnetic messages and strategies that deliver real results?
So again, the focus on clarity in the messaging. Who are we
Right.
talking to? What are their needs? What outcome are they desiring? Do you really know who they are other than, demographics? And are you
Right.
talking to that ideal client directly?
Right.
And also with that is, what is the purpose behind this content? Are we just putting out content because
Right.
everybody said we need
Mhm.
content, or is it leading our prospects, our ideal client on a journey that will hopefully ultimately lead to them working with you?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the gist of it.
Yeah, no, that's cool because I know some people say, well, statistics say I have to post twice a day. And they just post, it's like, okay, did you ever follow up? Did anybody read your comments? Did they like it? Did you have any dialogue? They just don't know. So it's again, they need that outside perspective to say, let me help you. Now tell
Yeah.
us, yeah. Now, what are some of the biggest challenges solopreneurs and small businesses face when creating content that attracts quality leads? And how do you help them overcome the obstacles?
Wow. I would say uh, using your content to stand out. Like content is more than just checking a box. You
Right,
just mentioned, oh, I posted twice a day. Well,
right,
where is everybody?
right,
And it's not that. You know, um, our audiences are exposed to a massive amount of information
right.
24/7, 365. So the biggest thing I see for solopreneurs and small businesses is how can you cut through that noise? You can cut through that noise by, again, being very clear, very specific,
Right,
and knowing, okay, this is what my people want. So let me talk to them in this way,
right,
not just, oh, 5 tips to, help you live a happier life. Well,
right.
they can Google that.
Yeah.
That is not going to get them to buy. They may save it, in their favorite posts,
Mhm.
but having your content compel them to take action,
Right.
that is the biggest gap I see.
Yeah.
And it comes to not being able to clearly articulate what you do and why people need it.
Yeah. It's funny because even something as terms of somebody recently just told me, oh, check out my website. And again, to them, it's the greatest in the whole wide world. But it's like, yeah, but you didn't really explain what it is you actually do, what makes you different, so it's true. Like people it's hard. Again, they need that outside person because, unless that's your specialty, you're just designing your company. You don't really understand the market, your audience, and every audience is different. So say your investment company, you have your retail investors, your institutional investors, your messages are going to be completely different to each particular audience. So yeah, I agree. It's good handholding to help these people get to where they want to go. Now, tell us, in your experience, what makes content truly stand out and capture attention in today's saturated digital landscape?
Wow, that's a loaded question. If we're talking about content that is going to drive people to buy from you,
Right,
it is that content that they can connect to on a personal level.
Right.
We've seen this new trend, not really a new trend, but it's growing in the marketing and the digital marketing space that people want personalized experiences.
Right.
And content is no different. People have heard it all
Right.
nowadays, right? They want to feel like you are talking directly to them, like what you are selling is directly for them.
Mhm.
And doing that through your content is what is going to get the attention. It's not about shouting the loudest
Mhm.
or, dancing on TikTok and all those
Mhm.
things. If that works
Mhm.
for you, great.
Mhm.
But to build a sustainable business and to stand out is going to be speaking directly to stay in your lane, right? Speaking
Right.
directly to that audience and being bold.
Yeah.
I see a lot of times generalizations because there's this fear, this is my opinion, but there's this fear of if I, make these bold claims,
Mhm.
well, I can't fulfill that. And there's all this mind chatter that goes on,
Right.
but your audience needs to know that you can solve their problem. So
Right.
being clear and being specific about what you do doesn't
Right.
mean that you have to, say it in a grandiose, hyperbolic kind of way.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I love the personalization too, because nothing's worse than getting an email. It's just a generic hi, comma, but when like somebody sent a generic email out to everybody announcing something, it was more business, but they were announcing that they had a new baby, blah, blah, blah. And it was, so coming back and saying, oh, congratulations, that's awesome news. And then writing back and be like, oh, it really touched our heart that you actually, but now you're speaking to me. And it just, meanwhile, it really
yeah,
wasn't that it took away from the business email, but now you got my attention, so I love the personalization. I mean, it just goes such a long way.
it really does. And
Yeah.
that's what people want.
Yeah.
That simple email can change everything.
Yeah.
Now they'll remember you because most people don't take that extra step.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Now, tell us what your military discipline and leadership in business. So now how do you apply the discipline and skills you learned in the Air Force to work as a magnetic leadership strategist? And are there any specific lessons from your military career that guide your business practices?
honestly, Patricia, I need to write a book just about this.
I'm sure.
Um, to be completely candid, when I first came online, I wanted to lead with leadership
Mm.
in my offers and my services, but I was told that that was boring. That was a corporate thing. Nobody's gonna buy that. That's not marketable.
Right.
So I believed that because I didn't know any different. I figured, well, these people, they've been online, they know better than I do.
Right.
But that is my bread and butter, leadership. And when it comes to discipline, I think they go hand in hand with entrepreneurship because if you look at people who are notable, even people we've never heard of before, that
Right.
have been able to garner success in their business ventures, they were disciplined. And a
Right.
lot of people confuse discipline with motivation, and they're not the same thing.
Right.
People can be motivated but lack discipline. So having a structure in place, and I don't mince my words with my clients. I'm very direct, very straightforward, and offering them that space to grow
Right.
by having that discipline in place, having, the framework that we talked about earlier,
Right.
but really bring leadership to the forefront because that is what is going to take them to the next levels in their business.
Right.
That is really what's missing in the online space, particular, I believe, is people who are standing up and saying, no, I think it's this way, and here's why.
Right.
And being confident in that. I see a lot of people that are wishy-washy.
Right.
As soon as there's someone that is disagreeing with them, they cower back.
Yeah.
And that's something that I share with my clients as well. And that is something that I learned in the military, standing your ground,
Right.
but also having the facts or the information or the receipts, if you
Mm.
will, to back it up.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I know a lot of people just try to pacify everything. They don't want to, cause any waves and whatnot. And, I always say the same thing. Do you want me to tell you how it is? Or you want me to tell you what you want to hear? I'm going to tell you how it is. And then, we'll take it from there. And I'm not being rude. I'm not being mean, but I want you to succeed. So, it's the same. You have to just be a little forceful in saying, again, staying in your lane. This is what I do. I know what I'm doing. I want to help you. Let me do that. And you might not like what I have to say. Like I've had some people say, well, we're going to do this, this, this. And it's like, yeah, but how's that working out for you so far? It's not. Here's why. Let's do it a different way. And if you're seeking guidance, then by all means, let that person guide you the best that they can. So I agree. Sometimes people don't want to hear it, but it needs to be done. And, it's catch-22 in the world we live in today, because some people just bark at everything and it's like, oh my God, enough. But then, but then the other people, it's like, all right, now if you're saying something that makes sense, okay, now you got my attention. I want to hear it. Yeah, it's a good step.
Yeah. And the thing with that is your audience is going to know the difference between someone who's just barking to
Yeah,
bark
yeah,
or someone who is standing in their power and owning their expertise. A
right,
lot of entrepreneurs are not owning it. Like you said, oh, well, this is okay. And people can sense that. And I
right,
think it makes it more difficult to sell.
right. Yeah, for sure. Now tell us, what trends do you see emerging in content marketing and digital strategy over the next few years, and how should small businesses prepare for them?
Well, we mentioned the personalization. I
Right,
don't think that is going to change. I think we're going to see that increase even more.
right.
AI, definitely. AI is not going anywhere anytime
Yeah,
soon. I see a lot of people using it incorrectly.
yeah,
So those two and content marketing in general is going
yeah,
to increase, be it short form video, um, podcasting, or,
right,
blogs. Blogs
yeah,
is still one of the top ways to bring in leads.
right,
And let's see, I think the need to think outside of the box. I think that is going to be more important as you see more people come online with the economic
right.
downturn,
Yeah, yeah. I
because
love
there's
that.
going to be, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I was going to say, I love the thinking outside the box. I mean, that was one of the things, that just trying to be creative and find a different way of doing something. It's just, it's like Christmas, for me. I'm like, oh my God, what can we do different? So a lot more people should do that, because I think it definitely makes you stand out from everybody else. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think a great way for entrepreneurs and small businesses to prepare for the increase of people coming
Mm,
online is to have that personalization,
right.
is to build relationships. We hear a lot of talk of community building,
Mm,
creating that intimacy. And I think that is going to be huge as we go forward, because a lot of people are going to continue to miss that step
right.
because they'll just come online to make a quick buck or whatever it is and disappear. But for those who want sustainability, it's going to be um, really connecting with your people,
Yeah.
leads, your audience in general, but also your existing clients,
Right.
and turning them into recurring clients.
Right.
Keep them in your ecosystem and leveraging AI to do these things for you.
Right. It's amazing with the connections. Like I've known some people who say, oh, I've got like, 500,000 connections on LinkedIn, for example. Do you even know who any of these people are? Like I remember, it was someone else too, all these connections on a business Facebook page. And I was trying to send something and everybody's like, I don't even know who you are. And I'm like, oh my God, like you just connect with everybody just to say you have numbers. No, you want to build on that
Yeah,
relationship. So I get it. People have all the connections, but then do something with it. That's not enough to just have it, because you could have, I always say, quality and quantity. You might have huge quantity, but what's the quality of it? I'd rather have less, but really, valid connections than have a number that I don't even know who half these people are.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So now tell us, what advice would you give to new solopreneurs who are just starting to build their online presence and are unsure how to begin creating effective content?
I would say, first and foremost, figure out who your audience is and what problem do they have? What is the specific problem they have? And what is your specific solution to that specific problem?
Right.
Then, what are the specific outcomes of that specific solution to their specific problem?
Mm.
Then, what is the specific transformation?
Right.
I would just focus on that
Yeah, good advice.
because that's going to create your core messaging. And then any content you create should be built around that and
Right.
do not deviate it.
Right.
If you are a fitness coach, you shouldn't come online the next day and, talk about pet care. Stick
Yeah.
to your fitness
Yeah.
coaching and go all in on those components. And the last thing I would say is whatever your solution is, you may think it's simple, but that could be a whole new world for your audience. So don't disregard the simple because it doesn't sound fancy.
Right.
Simple sells, especially nowadays with
Right.
everything that is overcomplicated and people being bombarded with all of these options. That's
Right.
another way to stand out by keeping things simple.
Right. Yeah, no, great advice. I mean, it is true because everything is just so convoluted. It's just like, I don't want to read through a 20, page email. Just tell me who you are and how you can help me. That's all I need to know, and then we can
Yeah.
take it further. Yeah. Now, so as someone who's continually advancing in their education with an MBA in marketing, how do you prioritize personal growth and development while running your business?
I don't think they're separate. I think they go hand in hand. If I am improving my personal development,
Right.
I am in turn improving my business because that MBA, that bachelor or that the master's in management, I'm bringing all of that
Right.
to my business.
Right.
They're not compartmentalized. Even if I am working out on a regular basis, I'm bringing that to my business because I will have more energy. I'll have more
Right.
mental clarity
Right.
for my business.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, tell us a little bit about, we didn't touch too much about what your business does. So tell us a little bit about like how you can help people. Like what exactly do you do for them? And
So I help experts to be able to stand out as leaders in their industry
okay.
by leveraging content so that they can attract premium clients without hustling. And what I mean by hustling is the day-to-day grind.
Right.
My ideal client spends a lot of time with referrals. That
Right.
is their main source of client acquisition, which there's nothing wrong with referrals, but when it comes to growing your business, that
Right.
leaves you out of control. It's in someone else's hands.
Right.
So being able to really create content that garners attention and positions them as authoritative leaders in their industry.
Right.
So now people are coming to them. They're pre-qualifying people through their content, and those people are coming to them as opposed to in the DMs or
Right.
booking all these coffee chats that go nowhere and
Right.
the millions of other things that people do thinking that it's going to attract clients and it
Right.
doesn't. So that's what I do by activating their what I call their magnetic leadership persona,
Nice.
getting into the content. What kind of content are we creating? The
Right.
messaging, and creating viable strategies that work for my client as opposed to just the cookie cutter stuff,
Right.
which I
Yeah.
find a lot of people are, just copying whatever they saw online or
Right.
did in a course, which is fine. But if it's not giving you the results, why don't we look at something that's going to work for you?
Right. Oh, good stuff. Anything else you want to add that we didn't touch on yet?
No, I think we covered a lot. I feel like I talked too much.
No, not at all. You did great. How can people learn more about you or get a hold of you and find out all your good stuff?
Well, I am primarily active on Facebook.
Okay.
So they can just go to my profile, which is Sutton C. McCraney, MA on Facebook. And that's where you can find everything, as far as messaging me, looking at my content, which is good.
Of course it is.
It had better be.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and if, you just want to drop me a message, have any questions or connect, I'm accessible.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being on the show. Again, that was Sutton McCraney. So thanks for listening to Successful Minds with Patty B. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the channel. So thank you again.